I've been living with bacterial-resistant infection for the last 4 or 5 years. In my tube site, I'm peg fed, so I've been having a lot of trouble with infections in that site. I also have infections with my lung condition. I have chronic obstructive lung disease, so I get a lot of chest infections and pneumonia and having to use antibiotics to help with the infections. And it's taking it harder and harder to keep some infections contained and keep them at bay. And I live with that every day. There's pain in my tube site. I can get ill within a few hours, which I have done many a times. And it's hard, and it's fatigue as well. People don't realise how hard it is on your body when it's fighting infection. It's not only that your body's fighting infection, your body is tired, and it's very emotional sometimes as well. And you have to cancel things or miss doing things because you just don't feel well enough to be able to do that. And it's all to do with infections, and it can happen to anyone. And sharing my story and what I go through will hopefully put it out there that it can happen to anyone at any time. And that's it happened to me. It happens to others that I've met, and it's there, and it's something that I live with daily. But you carry on as much as you can and get on with stuff. And that's what antibiotics are there for. Antibiotics are there to help me with my infections and my health conditions. To keep antibiotics for working is what I've also learned as well, that if the doctor says it's a viral infection, you don't need antibiotics. That's because it is viral. You shouldn't take antibiotics for everything because you need them when you need them. Don't take them just to take them, and then don't take somebody else's medication, because even though you think you've got the same thing wrong with you, you might not. And you should never take somebody else's medication. You should always finish the course. Even if you feel better, take the whole course, because there could be that little bit left that you don't know because you feel better, that it might start up again. So if a doctor says take it for this amount of time, take it for this amount of time, and take it at regular intervals, take it the way it's prescribed on the box or in the bottle. They're the experts, they know what they're needed for. So take them when you need them. But like I said, if the doctor says you don't need them, it's viral, take their word for it, because they know. There's been so much research over years and years and science is progressing. So maybe like 10, 20, 30 years ago, you might have got antibiotics for everything. But now we've got that research, we've got that knowledge of when to take antibiotics and when not to. And it's vital that you do it right and do it the correct way. The patient support for Antibiotic Research UK are just amazing. They've become a lifeline for me, because I know I can get in touch with any questions that I need, or just help, or someone even just to listen to you. It's always good because they understand what you're going through. I was lucky that I do volunteering for the NHS and for Manchester University, and I met a guy called Roger Harrison, and he put me in touch with Antibiotics Research UK and the patient support officer as well, because he saw what I was going through. And I'm so glad I met Roger, because that meant I met the patient support, just to know that I can ring up and ask a question, or is this right, or is that right, or why is this happening? Yeah, they might not be able to give you the answer as a medical doctor, but they've got a whole team behind them where they can go and ask questions and get answers for you. So that's the lifeline of knowledge. And it's just knowing that they understand and they get it. And just to have someone listen to you and be there for you makes a massive difference. Because when you're ill or when you're going through stuff, you do feel alone sometimes, because your friends and family, no matter how helpful they are and how much they love you, they don't understand it because it's new to them. They don't get it. So knowing that I have that, I can pick up a phone or send an email and they always get back to me. And the patient support team, I can't thank them enough. I really can't. They mean the world to me. And that's another reason why I wanted to work with Antibiotic Research UK and become their ambassador, because I want to spread the word about their patient support, because it's there for everybody. Anybody can access it. And if you need them, they will be there for you. I would 100 million, billion, zillion percent get in touch with the patient support, because they understand antibiotics. They understand why you're on them, what they're going to do. You know, if this is that bacteria-resistant infection you've got, like I said, they've got all that knowledge behind them. They've got links to people that will probably get the answer for you and hopefully help you in the long run. You know, they work with antibiotics, they know their stuff, and they listen to you. They're there for you. They care. They really do care, and they're just there for, even just for your mental health side of things, and you know, your physical stuff. They help you, and the support that you get from him, it's invaluable. They affect my mental health a lot, because you're in pain. I'm in pain a lot with my conditions anyway, but it's an added extra pain. It's discomfort. It's stuff that's going on to you that technically shouldn't be happening, and it does get you down. It makes you feel very alone and isolated, and very much like, why me? But with getting in touch with Antibiotic Research UK, they got in touch with other patients. So through the public support officer, we had Zoom meetings with other members who had infections as well. And just to be able to talk to another person who has an infection, it meant the world. We could talk, discuss things, and we could just get answers off each other of, well, you know, this is happening and that's happening. And you know you're not alone. I mean, unfortunately, due to the pandemic, it's been on Zoom, but I've met people all over the country from everywhere, and we couldn't have done that if it wasn't for Zoom. And just to know that we can have them meetings together and be together and talk to each other, you know, like I said, family and friends, they love you, they're there for you, they care for you. But you kind of feel like, I don't really want to go on about this, or I don't really want to whinge about that. And there's somebody there that gets it straight away, understands, and the public support officer, patient support officer is there as well. And she's there to give advice and help, you know, and say, look, like, this is right, this might work, this could work. So it's invaluable. My hopes for the future is to, because like I said, I'm going to be an ambassador for Antibiotic Research UK, and me and other people are going to share our stories and, you know, put it out there that this can happen to anyone. And we've just had one pandemic which changed the world. And if, you know, we don't use antibiotics correctly, then there could be another pandemic through antibiotics-resistant infection bacteria. And that's something we don't want to go through again. So if it means me telling my story, spreading the word, you know, doing things to put it out there, then we will all use antibiotics correctly and in the right way, and we can stop this pandemic from happening in the future. Yeah, so at the beginning of the pandemic, March 2020, I was in my bedroom for 14 weeks. So my parents were key workers. So obviously, because of my lung condition and because of, you know, I can pick up infections very easily, I had to even stay away from my parents. I literally lived and saw people on screens, and it was very scary. You know, it affected my family because they were scared to come home and bring it back when they went shopping or went to work. You know, obviously we all washed our hands, looked after ourselves, and when we was allowed out again, it was scary because nothing was going to be the same for a while at all. And then at Christmas 2020, me, my mum and my dad, we all got COVID. It was a shock that I got it. I couldn't understand how I got it. and neither could my family. And it was horrible. I was counting the days because I kept thinking in 2 weeks I should be okay. So even though I pretended like everything was fine, because my parents were worried, inside I was worried that, I was counting the days of how long till I know I'll be safe. And that's really scary. Uh, Luckily, it wasn't me that got the worst of it. It was actually my mum. My mum's life has changed forever now due to COVID. She really, really got it bad. But like she said, she'd rather her have got it bad than me. It was scary enough, and it's affected me afterwards as well. Fatigue is even worse. I'm just drained, and it takes you a long time to get back from having COVID. I already had complications that I live with, so having that on top as well, it was very hard to get back to a healthier, as much I can be healthy. And it was very scary for the whole family. It affected everyone. Everyone panicked. As soon as I got that, you've got COVID. As soon as I got that, everyone just panicked. And it's horrible. And I never, ever want to get it again. Never. And fingers crossed I don't. It's really hard for my parents. Like this time of year, it's now October. This is like time of the year when colds are about, flu's about, infections. It's cold, it's damp, it's wet. And even the weather is not good for my lungs. The weather affects my lungs all the time. And it's just a case of every winter, autumn, winter, everyone's scared of even coming near me. Any people cancel plans with me. Friends have said, look, I don't want to see you. I've got a cold, I've got a sniffle, because they'll get a cold and a sniffle and be able to carry on. For me, it will floor me. I have been perfectly fine 3 o'clock in the afternoon and then 9 o'clock at night in hospital in A&E, feeling really unwell. That's how quickly an infection takes hold of me. It just because my immune system isn't the best. My lungs are not the best either, obviously. I've got a lung condition, but it just attacks me so quickly, and it's scary how quickly an infection can take hold. So I do have emergency packs at home, and I have great doctors that get me in straight away, give me, what I need, medication, send me for x-rays, if need be, send me to A&E so I can get drugs intravenously. And it's always that fear every year. Last year was worse because I had the fear of cold and flus plus COVID. So, but it's scary every year. You're dreading that chest infection, that pneumonia, winter, cold. You dread it every year. Living with a drug resistant infection is so hard to deal with. It's constantly on your mind, it's constantly affecting your life. It can be painful, it can be sore, it can be there. You need antibiotics more than most normal people do. So it is hard every day to live with that. My advice to somebody who has just been diagnosed with a drug resistant bacterial infection and who is suffering and finding it hard to deal with, I would 100% get in touch with the patient support officer at Antibiotics Research UK. They're there to listen, they're there to help, and they're there to make things easier and explain things to you as much as they can. And it's a lifeline that's absolutely amazing, and it's absolutely crucial to people. The need for new antibiotics is crucial because it's been a long time since we've had some new antibiotics. And we've seen with a pandemic how quickly things can change and how quickly infections can adapt and change as well. And it's just, we need antibiotics that will work. We had to wait for a vaccine for the COVID. We don't want to have to wait for an antibiotic to be able to treat something. So it's vital that we have research and we have backing to get some new antibiotic drugs because we're going to need them in the future. Hi, I'm Lisa Jones, and I'm a patient ambassador for Antibiotic Research UK.